So Persona 6 is finally a thing and not some whisper in the wind or some cryptid. And with that, we've got a lot of people talking about their wants and needs for the next game. Some of it is pretty good and understandable, but honestly a lot of it is also kind of trash. Like most Persona discussion, none of it focuses on things like gameplay changes and is more on some shit like less hot spring scenes. But the obvious two that reign at the top is the female protagonist and the adult cast. Let me tell you why these will never happen. To start with the easy one, the female protagonist. Shit's too expensive, simple as. Persona isn't Pokemon, you can't just swap the pronouns out and then have everything be the exact same. These games are long as shit, bro. Adding female protagonists and a male one would mean changing everything. It would be changing things like animated cutscenes, the dialogue, the character dynamics, potentially even the story. The only reason Portable got away with this shit was because it was cheap as hell. Plus, Persona games actually do play around a lot with gender dynamics and themes. Like Kamoshida's arc technically wouldn't have even gotten off the ground if the main character wasn't a man.
Just write the game to accommodate the swap genders.
Oh, that's alright then!
I mean, you can, but that's a lot easier said than done. I mean, people and companies are lazy. Everyone is. Do you really think Atlus is just gonna rewrite the whole game for that? Atlus probably just sees that, oh, guys seemingly are the people who play the games the most, and most of our franchises have male protagonists, so let's just stick with what we're good at. Now, for the adult cast. I've seen some decent reasons why people want it, but for the most part, the main reason I see for why people want an adult cast just boils down to, oh, I want to date and then jerk off to these characters, but the wiki profile is getting in my way. Which is such a that's on you type issue. The structure of this series shouldn't demonstrably change just because of your sexual preferences. To start, let me give you a little history lesson. Let me explain to you the real reason why anime, and by extension Persona in general, use high school settings. A lot of morons will try and use the argument of, oh, you watch too much shonen, or oh man, it's because the Japanese people, they need escapism, because being an adult over there is like too hard, bro. Shit's like fucking 1984 up in there. Do not listen to these idiots. I mean, yeah, some of it is a little bit true, but for the most part, the main reason why is just because of tropes. It's the standard, it's a part of the medium. But the actual real reason is just because it's a super flexible setting for writing. Actually think about it. The typical adult life is filled with things like rent and schedules. If you fuck up your schedule as an adult, then, well, your ass is cooked and you can't just start all over again the next month. A school student has significantly more free time and leeway than a college student needs to account for things like college projects, bills, jobs, etc., realistically only leaving about one evening of free time. For reference, you would have a 100-hour plus Persona game where you get one period of free time a day to do social links or side content that you want to do. And that's not getting into the specifics like how the game would accommodate college-style classes or if the main character would have to choose particular courses that the game would have to accommodate for. And like I said, it's just easier to write for. They all go through the same problems that you go through, so, you know, they all have something in common. By the time you reach an adult, I mean, most people are kind of just separate.
But what about Persona 2?
On Jesus' name, I guarantee you the people who use this as an argument have not played these games, bro. Eternal Punishment, Soul Hackers 2, yeah, these games have adult casts and female protagonists, but these games also have their own structure and autonomy that doesn't account for things like a calendar system. These protagonists also have their own personality and are not meant to be self-inserts. There's also the argument of, oh, I mean, it would tackle more adult issues and lead to better writing. And my response to that is, when has that ever stopped these games before? Persona games have tackled adult exclusive struggles and problems countless times, the age of the player character never really stopping them from being there, or in some cases even elevating their points and quality. Now if you said you'd liked, I don't know, a couple more adult party members like Zenkichi or a few more social links like Yoshida, then hell yeah, let's talk business. But as of now, I don't think Persona needs to change their cast's age. Post-edit, one aspect I forgot to mention was also the fact that generally these games are all about self-discovery, and these characters are still learning who they are. That sort of narrative and theme works better way more than with teenagers than it does with adults. Not to say that once the clock turns 18 you have your shit sorted out, but more so that character mistakes and ideologies are more reasonable than when you're cast as teenagers than when they're adults. Like if you knew a guy in his 20s who acted like Ryuji, then you think he just sounds like a fucking childish jackass. But because he's still a teenager, it's a lot more excusable and makes more sense. This is the case with a lot of characters. You could argue that this is the case with the entire group dynamic of Persona 3. Anyways, back to the rest of the video. It's also just a part of the series' identity. Its aesthetic of kids fighting monsters and gods with swords and weapons, typically in their school uniform. It's very iconic. Now, would I be mad if I ate shit and these both happened? No. I mean, I would probably be a little miffed that the pricks who keep yapping about this will get what they want, but I'd get over that in like 30 seconds. In fact, I would probably be interested in a Persona game with an adult schedule. Not saying it would automatically be good. In fact, it might be shit, but I'm not disgusted by the idea. Persona's calendar system has sort of permanently stayed the same, and Atlus's solution to this has just been adding more game-breaking shit that just ends up sucking all of the challenging stuff from the past games. A change like this would, actually shake things up. It would make it so that you have to, strategize and shit. The problem is that a lot of people treat Persona games like comfort junk food, where the combat is a hassle and the slightest bit of difficulty is bad game design. That's why they keep adding content that makes the combat as easy as possible. And a change like that to the calendar system just wouldn't happen. Now, as for some proper changes, bring back Jack Gripper.